area plan should be to develop a community around the Lawrence Station that is more walkable, bikeable, transit friendly. That is primarily the goal, in whatever sense that ends up being. There are a number of concerns you have to bring to this project. The first one is protecting the character of the single-family neighborhoods around it. Whatever we do can't negatively impact them, because these are people's homes that they have the right to enjoy. But it also gives us the opportunity to revitalize an area that is to an extent underutilized and to an extent a little bit blighted. By creating something where we have bike and pedestrian paths to the Caltrain station, where we have housing in proximity to shopping, housing in proximity to offices, so that people don't even need to drive where it is they need to go. It opens up a whole lot of opportunities, for instance, for senior housing. We have the situation where over the next 30 years, the senior population is going to double. And seniors, once they lose the ability to drive their cars, can't really live in suburban environments anymore because they can't get around. The Lawrence Station Area Plan gives us the opportunity to create senior-friendly housing near the services they potentially want, but also just in terms of serving the general population. Being able to create a situation where people don't necessarily have to hop into their car to do whatever it is they want to do. That should really be the end goal of the Lawrence Station Area Plan.
Mr. Merrick.
Okay, Tat Merrick for seat 3. Lawrence Station plan doesn't adequately include Santa Clara, which accounts for a good portion of that area. So I think that needs to be incorporated, because we've learned that we don't know what Santa Clara is really going to do, and we have little control over it. There's little, as I mentioned before, little north-south transit. There's little parking. Santa Clara School District President Christine Colderman has complained that there isn't adequate funding for schools now. So unless we're having just seniors there, we need to provide additional funding for schools. And we'll have extra people, 5,000 from Sunnyvale, but little or no money apparently for public safety support. So that means our public safety people seem to have to work harder and longer. Thank you.
Mr. Fraser.
And Andy Fraser, C1.
So as I started saying earlier, the basic concept behind Lawrence Station area, I support transit-oriented development. If you're going to build new housing, build it closer to the transit centers. Lawrence Expressway provides automotive access. It can provide new bus access, and it's got trains. I also like that, senior-oriented housing makes sense. Senior citizens would often prefer to live in a community where everything is provided and may not have to drive so much. But again, the issue that I have with the current proposal for Lawrence Station is simply the size. It's just too big. It looks like whoever came up with this said, well, we got a little bit of something is a good idea, then let's have even more of it. It's going to be a better idea. They're looking at putting buildings 80 feet tall, again, on Lawrence, along Lawrence Expressway, north of Caltrain, in what they call the core area, and all up and down Kiefer Road. Remember, 80 feet, if you go down Matilda, the Nokia and Apple buildings by the downtown, those are 80 feet tall. And they're planning on building entire developments like that. So if I'm on the council, I will support the concept of Lawrence Station, but not at the size of the proposal right now.
Mr. Mc... No, sorry. Go ahead. You go.
Gustav Larson, C1.
So thank you. I'm currently serving on the Lawrence Station Area Plan's Citizens Advisory Group, so I have been deeply involved with the development of this plan and learned quite a bit about that area. Just walking around the area, that neighborhood is very fragmented now. It's not a place that you would want to walk around. There's a little bit of residential, but there's a lot of industrial. There's the Costco, which is a fine shop, but not someplace you would walk to. There's Peninsula Building Materials. And I think we could do a lot more with that area. We could make it a very attractive and actually vibrant neighborhood center. And I think that's an important goal of the plan, is really to bring vibrancy there, really kind of create some narrative there. Making it walkable is important, and creating open space. There's not enough open space there. And if we push the buildings up, then we can create more space in between them, have a nice rhythm between building and open space. and have a really nice area. We are talking with Santa Clara. They understand what's going on. We're actually driving them in some ways. Their schedule is a little different than ours, but the staff of the two cities are very much talking with each other to coordinate. In the Lawrence Station area, in less than 1% of the city's area, we could put about 30% of the projected growth for the next 15 years. That's a huge opportunity, and it protects our existing single-family neighborhoods. Thank you.
Mr. Hoffman.
Steve Hoffman, C2. Okay, so with regard to the Lawrence Station plan, as Andy had pointed out, it is a good idea, but it's just way too big. Essentially what we're talking about doing over here is transitioning essentially what is industrial zoned space into very high density residential. One of the issues came up previously whereby you were told that we should have allowed a particular plan to take, sorry, not a plan, but a study to take place, and it was a shame that it got shut down. The reason residents oppose even studying things is because the way that the council works is they tell you everything's okay, we're just going to go ahead and do a study, we're not making any decisions. They move through the process and suddenly they go ahead and make a decision, and then it's suddenly too late, just like happened with the LinkedIn building. Now, the issue with the Lawrence Station plan is that it's not taken into account. This is a massive growth in the population of Sunnyvale. There's been little to no discussion on the schools. There's little discussion on the police, sewage, water supply. It's just an overwhelming development, and it again is something that will benefit the developers, whom are the donors of my opponent.
Mr. Hendricks.
My name is Glenn Hendricks, seat number 2. I first want to go ahead and I want to clarify my comment on the last question. I did not mean to imply that I was against electric vehicles. All I was trying to say is that if you convert it all to electric, you didn't take care of all the problems because you still have the same amount of traffic. The Lawrence area plan and what they're trying to do right there, contrary to some of the comments that are being made right here, there's been a study and a working group that's been going on for over a year. The public has been involved. This isn't what the city's trying to do, to go ahead and have working groups get input from the community so that we can hear what's going on and develop a community-based solution or plan for what needs to be done. And being able to have thoughtful, planned approach to what we want to do with development is the way we should be approaching that, not only just at the Lawrence area station, but in other parts of the city. The issue that I have with the Lawrence area station, because I agree with the concept of trying to have the mixed use and bring people together and take advantage of transit, is how we transition. It's one thing to go ahead and create a vision of what we want to go ahead and create. The hard part is how you go ahead and transition, because once you develop the plan, it's then up to the individual property owners to develop at their own speed. So that's where you end up with kind of a pockmarked strategy. So if we go ahead and through community involvement develop the Lawrence area plan, one of the things that has to be looked at very carefully is what the implementation and transition would look like for that, so that we don't end up with a pockmarked implementation of what might be a very good strategy.